Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Coffee with Flip, and we are in the Christmas spirit. I love it. You guys wore Christmas sweaters.
Yeah.
How come you guys didn't tell me you were doing that?
Well, we just thought you knew. We thought you could read our minds.
That one's just a little sad.
Aww. There we go.
Sad little Christmas tree. We got the elf.
We just thought it was a given. It's our last stream before the new year.
Yeah.
Too. Also.
And next week,
Oh, yeah.
next week it's Wednesday.
Yes,
So
that's a good point.
Christmas is Wednesday.
So this is the last stream of 2025. We might do a Flip After Dark
Yeah, I think we will.
for the Crystal Club members. Oh, we got a good idea. It'll be fun. But good morning, everyone. I'm Rob with Flip Aquatics. We got Liv to my right and Leather to my left. And then behind the camera, we got M and Broccolini. So, M, why don't you just give us a rundown what we're talking about today and kind of like what's going to be happening?
Yeah, so we're talking about all things RO water today. So is it necessary? Can you use tap water? Can you use well water? Do I need to drop thousands of dollars on an RO unit? All things RO water, all things that people are asking us questions on all the time. But before we get into that, Leather, what's going on at Flip?
Well, first of all, that sounds like a lot to unpackage today. So our live animal shipping pause starts today. So
any live animals that you buy from here on out won't ship till the new year.
yes. So, Rob, you want to explain why we do that?
Yes. So during the holiday season, shipping is insane, which means that there's like a huge influx of packages. The post office isn't open on the holidays, so like there's shutdowns in the middle of the week. This week it's Christmas is on a Wednesday, New Year's is on a Wednesday, so like literally it cuts the week in half, which makes it really tough for the post office.
Yeah.
And so there's just so many delays during this 2-week season that it's just not worth risking the animals. And so that's why we do a little shutdown just to protect the animals.
Yeah.
And go from there.
Yeah, I know that I've been experiencing delays in my own packages that I'm still waiting to get for Christmas gifts and things. So like,
Oh yeah.
and we've seen that in some of the packages going out here and also the ones we've been receiving here. So I literally ordered stamps and they were like a week late. I'm like, I ordered it from the post office.
Yep.
So yeah, live animal shipping pause starts today. We will resume shipping live animals on the 6th. In years past, we've been able to kind of like trickle back into shipping, like starting with one day and then maybe the next week. But with the way the dates fall, everything starts back on the 6th, and then we'll start working through those orders in the order that they came in.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean if you order live animals, it will ship on the 6th, because we will have to work through some orders and get caught up. But our team will work really hard to get those out. And then hard good only orders will continue shipping throughout this. So
Yeah, end of year's crazy. End of year and beginning of year is crazy for our team because there's kind of the Black Friday rush for our shipping team to get everything out. And then I think really when we come back from not shipping for those 2 weeks, that's when it's like,
It'll be busy.
all right, now we got to double our output.
yeah.
Because are we announcing like kind of what we're doing during the shutdown?
Yeah, we are right now.
What?
Wow.
So we are also going to have 15% off your entire order through December 31st. And so I'll have an email and text going out about that today with the code. If you're not signed up for email and text, you should go get signed up. You can sign up. If you go to our website, it'll pop up for you. And then there's also a banner that you can click on to sign up. And those codes will be going out today. So that includes livestock. We will hold it until after the new year if you do order livestock. But if you order just hard goods, we'll go ahead and ship that out to you. But the 15% off is good on the whole website.
Yeah, and we do that as like a reward for you being willing to wait, because we know that having to wait for your order for 2 weeks is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
So we get it, and we want to reward you. So that's the way that we kind of compensate there. But it's also the reason we shut down, like we talked about, is just to protect the animals. We don't want anything getting lost. We don't want animals dying. We don't want customers being upset. So we'd rather just shut down, have a sale, kind of, start the new year right.
Yeah. So that's what we have going on here.
Anything else?
Not that I can think of.
Well,
Yeah, we just did.
hey Brock, welcome to the conversation. Yeah. So we did have some unfortunate things happen this week, and luckily they worked out okay. Monday. So 2 weeks ago, we had an import come in, and like it got really cold, and like 90% of the fish died, which was super unfortunate. So then we took a week off importing because that's like really taxing on us. It's really taxing on the team. And then this week we're like, okay, we're ready. Let's bring some stuff back in. And normally our imports arrive on Mondays, and it didn't arrive on Monday. It came in yesterday on Tuesday, and we were worried that it probably
24-hour
wasn't gonna arrive
delay.
good. Yeah, it's not good. But we got it, and it was literally one of our best imports we ever got. So.
Yep.
Our importer did a phenomenal job packaging it, so that makes us happy. And then next week, we have a huge shrimp import coming in. Yeah, that's going to be good. Finally going to be restocked on shrimp. Now, granted, they have to go through quarantine, but going into the new year, beginning of January or mid-January, we'll be able to restock, and that'll be a great thing. So. Really excited about that. I'm excited to get back into doing more shrimp because I'm going to be one of the main people taking care of the shrimp. If not, no, I will be the main person taking care of the shrimp. And so I'm really excited to do some more content and spend some more time with them. So that's kind of what happened this week. Me and Emma have been meeting. We're coming up with like a whole content strategy going into next year, which is super exciting.
Just wait for 2025.
Just wait. It's going to be great. And we're even talking about like membership, like what we can do better there. And even give you guys more time with me, because I know that right now like Brooke does a lot of videos, and Leather's in them, Emily's in them, maybe sometimes Liv.
Not really.
You didn't want to see her anyway. But we're thinking about like what we can do to really create some good content for you guys, create some good educational pieces, and so we're really looking forward to that. And then Brock's doing a lot with the guppy breeding right now, which is really exciting. So I'm sure there'll be some content centered around that. If you guys go to our website, you can see a ton of different juvies. We got a lot of flip bred stuff, and so there's a lot of good things going on at Flip. But I don't know how you guys are wearing those hoodies in this room right now. Like, I'm sweating bullets. Listen, I gotta take this off.
So somebody had a question. If we order shrimp next week, hold on, it went off to the. If we order shrimp next week, will we get the new shrimp after quarantine? Oh, brother.
God.
I never knew that's what you had going on under there.
Just a little holiday spirit over here.
Your belly button's out.
Hey, yeah. Why don't you,
It looks almost a little too real on camera.
It does?
It almost matches your actual skin tone.
why don't you,
This is my skin.
stand up and give the people a spin?
Oh. Do you have a hairy back?
Yeah. All men have hairy backs.
Tattoos for me.
Listen, I'm not about the whole shaving the chest thing. There's something about that's for boys.
I didn't realize
I
you were so
agree.
tatted. And
I didn't realize you were such a bad boy.
are those tats of deer that you actually killed?
Yeah, this is the one that I shot in Texas this year.
Oh, you got two.
This is just my favorite candy. And then these are the presents from when I was a kid. These are my favorite ornaments.
Very nice.
It's great.
I'm all about the holiday spirit.
Yeah.
So.
You really went all out.
Yeah, I thought, us talking about RO water and starting with, a baseline. I figured that I would start with my baseline and show you guys what I'm working with.
I don't want you to be alone. Just kidding.
Thank God. Yeah, so yeah, that's what's going on at Flip this week.
I wish there was less going on at Flip this week.
Yeah, it's
Knowing what I know now.
kind of cold now.
You're cold now?
Yeah. But anyway, so we're talking about RO water today. And yeah, we're going to get into why is RO water best for shrimp. So what's the chat think of everything? It's crazy. There's actually nobody in chat anymore.
They
all
left.
left. They're
Chat
gone.
went dry.
The chat is gone.
Yeah.
Everybody's just laughing.
It's unfortunate.
They're shook.
So you guys know, one of our team members, Shallon, this was her ugly sweater from yesterday, and she's like, "Oh my God, you should wear that tomorrow on the live stream." I was like, "I'll wear that." She's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, like why would I not wear that?" And so she left it for me, and so that's how
so
it happened
silly.
today. But I did have another option. Liv brought in 2 Christmas sweaters today,
Yep.
and she didn't know which one to pick, and so I told her whichever one she picked, I would wear the opposite one, and she's like, "You won't fit in my sweatshirt." I'm like, "Bet."
Problem is, I don't fit in my
Yeah,
sweaters.
you didn't fit in it. So,
Yeah.
so I did
Not
have
very
another
well.
option. So let's see. Oh God.
Pop, 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 pop. That's the seams right now.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
You gotta straighten it out a little bit. There you go.
You know those women in the old days that used to wear like corsets that like suck in their midsection? Kind of feel like one of them.
Yeah, you look like one.
Yeah. So yeah, Liv couldn't fit in this. I could. Dude, get on my level.
It's because you have like a 3-inch bicep.
Yeah, we've determined Liv is more swole than Rob.
That's the circumference. I mean,
Listen. If that's 3 inches, you got to get better at
so
measuring.
RO water is the best for your aquarium. And
Yeah.
here's why.
Hold on, let me get comfy here.
Yeah.
You guys like my little angry cat? We call him the grumpy cat.
There is already a grumpy cat.
Who's the grumpy cat?
You don't know
It's a
grumpy cat?
meme.
Oh.
Hey, we do already have questions popping off in the chat though.
Well, let's start it. Let's get it going. Let's get it going. So, first of all, why is RO water better for shrimp? Let's just answer the number one question, and then we get into what is our first trivia question?
What is RO water / distilled water?
Okay, so while you guys are answering that, what is RO water / distilled water? Like, what is that? I'm going to answer why is RO water better for shrimp. And it's, I guess kind of would steal the thunder from the question. I'll wait for a second. We'll see what people say, and then we'll really get into
Give
it.
it a minute.
So before you started stripping all your layers down, somebody asked if they buy shrimp next week, will they get the shrimp that are new shrimp coming out of quarantine when they do ship? So
No,
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, they would not get new shrimp. They would get the shrimp that we've had.
Yeah,
for a
we
while.
won't put those in stock until they've actually cleared quarantine.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, they'll go back in stock a month from Monday.
yeah.
So like 35 days from now. 33 days.
Just Chris says pure water, no minerals.
Pure water, no minerals.
That's the only person that's answered the trivia
I think
question
Kyle was
before.
saying that RO stands for reverse osmosis.
Yep.
Oh, I
That's
didn't
right.
even see that one. Yeah.
Reverse osmosis. RODI stands for reverse osmosis.
Distilled
No.
vinegar.
By the Byland says mechanical
Deionization.
filtration to remove minerals from water, RO, then deionize, DI, RODI. Lowell says reverse osmosis water, water stripped of minerals. Chevy Fish says because you start with a clean slate to know what's in the water.
Yep. Yeah. So all those are good answers. So, first of all, what's the difference between RO water and distilled water? Really,
Don't know.
there is no difference, except for the process of how to create it. So distilled water, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it's like made through like a process of evaporation. So like they use heat to boil it, and then it evaporates, and then they recollect it. That
Okay.
way it gets the water out of it.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
thanks, Em. That's how they get the minerals out of it, not the water out of it. And then RODI, it's actually ran through a machine and it cleans it. So it's two different ways, but the end result is you have a water that has nothing in it. So if you guys know what TDS is, I know that's used in the shrimp community quite often. TDS stands for total dissolved solids, And basically it means that there's no solids in it. So if you use TDS pen on RO water or distilled water, then it's going to have nothing. So why is RO water better for shrimp or distilled water better for shrimp? It's because you can really start from a baseline. You could start from zero, and then you could build the water that you want. For example, here at Flip Aquatics, if we were going to measure our tap water, it's always fluctuating, so there's really no consistency, and we'll talk more about tap water later on. But like our GH is 8, and our KH would be about 4, which is pretty good. But then our pH is like 9, so like that's not ideal. And if you measure our TDS, like our TDS doesn't make sense for what our GH and KH are. So like it's just weird, the combination of water and how they're making it and how it comes out to what it is. Because like if I think of like a GH of 8, a KH of 4, I would think the TDS would be about 200-ish. And our TDS is like 130, 120. Like, and it's hard to get that reading. And so how they're making their water is just interesting. And so for me, it makes much more sense just to say like, okay, like I want to build the water that's perfect for my shrimp. I want a GH of this, I want a KH of this, I'm going to remineralize it, and I know that this water has all the right minerals. It doesn't have chlorine in it, it doesn't have any type of copper in it. Like it doesn't have anything that's going to like cause ill effects, which you could have when you're using different water sources. So in my opinion, that is why it is best for shrimp. Just, it's much better to start with the baseline. So like what questions do you guys have? Because I know the chat probably has some questions.
Yeah, so I guess my question would be like, would you agree that it's still better? Like, you don't have to use it for Neocaridina, but it would still be better because you can still build it to exactly what you want it to be.
Yeah, so like most people use it for Caridina shrimp because like
Right.
it requires very specific parameters, whereas Neos are much more forgiving. But it is still good to use for Neocaridina. It's good to use for fish. It's good to use for snails. Like if you can build the correct parameters for your shrimp or fish or snails, it's always going to be better. And so like every animal likes a specific type of water, and if you can give them the perfect water every time, that's going to be way better. It's going to be easier on you. But if you just want to take the easy route and be like, oh, my fish will either adjust or they won't, and if they don't, then I'll keep a different type of fish. Like that's the mentality of a lot of hobbyists. Then I don't think that's the right mentality. I think it's way better to build this specific water parameters that you want. And I also don't think it's hard, which I'm sure we'll talk about, remineralizing and how to do that. But yeah, like it is good to use it for Neocaridina shrimp too.
Sounds great. And you can't just use RO water that hasn't been remineralized. That would kill things.
Yes. So the only time that you would actually use RO water or distilled water without remineralizing it is for evaporation. So you guys need to know this. When you have an aquarium and there's evaporation doesn't take minerals with it. So like the distilled water process, like if they're using heat to get water to evaporate and then recollecting that evaporated water to get distilled water, that means that's how they're stripping the minerals out of it. So the minerals will always remain. And that's why like in a lot of our aquariums, you have like calcium lines on the side. It's because like as the water evaporates, the calcium kind of collects on the side of the glass because it's not evaporating as well. And so, so that's where you get like the white calcium lines at the top. But yeah, that's the only time that I would use straight RO water. Some people, use RO water for like breeding quarries, like just straight RO water. I don't recommend it because like I don't think that's great. There's some fish that like might live on the top of a mountain where the river comes down, and that's like glacial water that's just like straight RO water or rainwater that has like little to no minerals in it, and maybe those ones would do fine with no mineral content as well. So like there could be some exceptions, but I would say the vast majority of animals don't like straight RO water, straight distilled water. And the other thing is like when we get into remineralizing is never remineralize your water in the aquarium. Always remineralize it before you put it in the aquarium. But that's another big mistake that people make.
Yep. Oh, yeah, we have a lot of questions coming in about remineralizing, but I'm going to hold those until we get to that section. But we did have somebody that asked, click the wrong button. I have a 14-gallon planted tank. I want to add shrimp, but don't have RO water. Will it kill the shrimp when I put them in?
Will kill the shrimp when I put them in.
So
I mean,
probably depends on the shrimp too.
well, it depends on the shrimp, but it depends what your water is. So, like, will it kill your shrimp? I mean, maybe, probably not, but it's possible. It just depends on, like, what your specific water parameters are, what your tap water is like, what your well water is like, which we'll talk about that too here in this next section. But, yeah, it really just depends on, like, the type of water that you have. We actually have a video coming out, I think it's coming out this weekend.
Yeah, it's coming out this Saturday.
Yeah, and it's talking about how you can actually use tap water for your aquarium and for your shrimp. And so, like, how we use it, how you can manipulate it, how you can still remineralize it, stuff like that.
Can you also get RO water from your local fish store? I know a lot of our members talk about getting RO water.
Yeah, so a lot of fish stores do sell RO water, but you for sure should test the RO water. RO water should have a TDS of, I always say 10 or less, because, like, there's always a little bit that slips through. Like, I think RO water is, like, anywhere from 3 to 7, depending on, like, when it's made. But 10 or less, I would consider RO water or distilled water. And so distilled water should always pretty much be 0, but there might be a little bit in there. So check it, because I've known people that get RO water from their fish store, and it's like 150 TDS, which is not RO water.
That's just water.
That's just water.
Yeah. So if someone's thinking about adding shrimp to their planted tank and the water that exists in that tank right now, what we always say is, like, look at the parameters that whoever you're getting your shrimp from, see what they keep their shrimp at, and try to get your water close to that if you can. That's going to be your best bet for making sure that your shrimp stay alive when they get into that tank.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
next, we'll talk about some tap water, well water, the risks of using them. But before we do, you got a trivia question for us?
I do.
What you got?
Which is worse, well water or tap water?
Ooh. Which is worse?
I think my vote is tap
Whoa.
water. Tap water.
What's your vote?
You want me to say it?
Yeah, why not?
I think that neither of them is purely good nor purely bad. I think for well water, it depends on your area. Are there
Yeah.
chemicals and, pesticides and stuff that are leaching into the well potentially? If it's tap water, what's the chlorine content?
Yeah.
What's your local water facility putting into the water? So if you live on a 100-acre farm where it's a natural stream that's running into your well, you're
Was
probably
that a
doing
poo
pretty
reference?
good. What?
The 100-acre farm? Isn't that a poop? Isn't that a
100
poop?
acre woods.
Oh, the 100-acre woods.
Oh.
I thought you meant poop.
Like,
Poop.
Yeah.
Was that a poop reference?
Yeah. If you have manure leaching into your well, it's probably not
yeah.
good.
Oh gosh. So
What are the
just
cows
Chris,
eating?
Just Chris guesses well water. Lowell guesses well water. Kyle the Fountain says depends on the area.
Yep.
Ben depends on location. By the Bylands tap water. Corinne depends on what's in the tap versus well water. Chevy Fish depends on the tap water location.
Yeah, I think you gave us a trick question here.
Yeah.
I think that's a good question. So, I think that.
What's your opinion?
I mean, so I think well water would be more consistent.
Yeah.
So, like, it's either going to be consistently bad or consistently good.
Yeah.
Now, there's obviously, like, different seasons that create different parameters, which if you have a large enough parcel, so like you said, like if you have the 100-acre woods, there's a chance that you would have very consistent water if your well's like smack dab in the center of that.
Is that a
Like,
poo reference?
that is a P reference, but thank you.
Okay.
That's a Tigger reference.
You would be Tigger.
I feel like a Tigger. So anyway, moving on. Moving on. Isn't that what Tigger does? He bounces
Bounces
around?
on his tail.
Back on track. So, yeah, well water would be the one that I would go with. because like you either know like it's going to be mostly good or mostly bad. Tap water, I mean, we've just had so many issues. I think like if our city wasn't constantly doing construction, it would be better, because there was a season where it was really good. But yeah, it's just interesting. So let's dive into each one specifically, and we can talk about like the pros and cons. So like, what do we want to start with?
Let's start with tap water.
Tap water.
I want to start with well water.
Okay. Rock,
No.
paper, scissors.
Nope. We can't rock, paper, scissors. That's sacred for the end.
Oh, that is sacred.
I'll compromise. We can do tap.
Okay. So tap water. The number one thing that you need to know is almost all tap water has chlorine. Some tap water has chloramine.
And what's the difference?
The difference is chlorine by itself is just chlorine. Chloramine is chlorine plus ammonia. So ammonia in a fish tank is the nitrogen cycle. Ammonia is the first part of the nitrogen cycle, and it's extremely lethal to all living animals, or at least all aquatic animals. So not great. There's really very few things that take ammonia out of the water. Most dechlorinators neutralize it, but it doesn't remove it from the water. So like your biological filtration still has to, process it even after it's neutralized. So it's one of those things that like, you kind of have to deal with. So there are ways to filter that out, which we can talk about, like how we would set up a filter for tap water and well water. But chloramine, number one issue. The next issue is just inconsistencies. So like there's times where the water will be a certain way. Maybe in the winter it will be a completely different way. Maybe in the summer with the warmer weather, there's different types of bacteria in the water, and so they're treating with different things. And so like you just need to know that you need a good enough filtration on your tap water to make sure to eliminate out as many inconsistencies as possible. But there is things that you can't filter out. Like for example, right now, we've talked about this many times on Coffee with Flip, but our tap water is coming from the city. They're redoing their lines throughout the city, which means that they want to recalcify the lines, which means that they're pumping tons of calcium in the water, which causes the pH to be 9. Like that's like so bad, it's ridiculous. Because a low pH eats away at the lines, which once you have calcified lines, you don't really worry about it as much. Like it can be fine. But right now they are just keeping that pH as high as possible to make sure the lines don't get deteriorated. And it just makes it really tough on a place like us. So tap water, definitely a lot more things that can happen that probably are controllable. Can you filter out most of the bacteria stuff that they're treating with? Probably, but still there's always that risk that you won't. You really can't filter out, GH and KH or calcium, and it's very hard to manipulate the pH. So when you have a really high pH, it's very hard to bring the high pH down. Trust me, we know. So you can, it's just not good. And then when you do, it creates a bunch of other problems. So
And it's difficult to predict. So like,
yeah,
we've used white vinegar to bring down pH, but sometimes it takes the pH down to 6, and sometimes it takes it down to 4.
yeah.
So
And 4 is really bad. So,
yeah.
yeah, it's just interesting. So tap water is its own beast. Now well water, in my opinion, a little bit more consistent, especially if you're in the middle of the country. The only thing is like in really rainy seasons, it might change the water quality a little bit. If you have a lot of farms around you spraying pesticides, like that could leach into your water source. If you're in an area that is like, high shell content, or like, shell, which is like a type of limestone, then that could, kind of make your parameters interesting. It can make your pH really low, but your GH and KH are really high. Like there's just a lot of variabilities with groundwater.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that can get into your water. Like you can actually get oil in your water. You can get copper in your water. Like there's a lot of things with well water that can be scary, but you can have a really good filtration system that gets 99% of that stuff out. So that's kind of the beast with well water. So like, can it be good? Absolutely. Can it be bad? Absolutely. But the thing with well water is it's much more consistent than tap water, at least in my experience. Now, you guys could live in an area where like your tap water is perfect all the time, and that's great. I wish I had that. But the thing is, the city will not tell you when they're changing up the tap water. So like, it could be great for 10 years, and then all of a sudden it's completely different. And if you're not testing all the time, you'd never know. And then all of a sudden you're gonna start having issues.
Yeah.
So I've known lots of people that have lost like complete fish rooms because the city dosed something and they didn't know about it and they didn't have a good enough filtration in place. So as far as filtration, what we do here at Flip Aquatics and what I would recommend for you at home, and this goes for well water or tap water, is first thing that I would do when your water comes in is have a sediment filter. You could have multiple sediment filters, different size filters like microns, so that it would strip different things out of it. But like sediment filters, for sure, it strips almost all the organics out of it, makes the water clean. And then as soon as it leaves that, I would put it through carbon towers. Now, there's two types of carbon towers that I would recommend. The first one is coconut carbon. It's fairly cheap. That will strip out chlorine. It will strip out a lot of the impurities out of the water. So that one's really good for well water and tap water. But the next one I would recommend just for tap water. You could use it on well water, but it gets pretty expensive. It's called catalytic carbon. Catalytic carbon strips the ammonia out of the water. So if you have chloramine, catalytic carbon will actually strip the ammonia out of the water, at least for the most part.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like if you're doing a lot of water volume, it won't get all of it, but it will get the majority of it out. But catalytic carbon is, don't quote me on this, but like probably 5 times the cost of coconut carbon. So that's what we use to get the ammonia out of the water. And then if you're using a sediment filter, 2 types of carbon, I would say you're good to go for a long time. So, and most of the carbon lasts like a solid year, maybe 2 years. So like if you just keep testing your parameters like every like 2 to 3 months, like you can tell when it's starting to go bad. Oh man, I don't know. Oh, thank you.
Pull it together here,
You know,
Bobby.
Bobby Boucher.
Bobby.
So yeah.
Bobby Boucher.
What?
Who is Bobby Boucher?
Water Boy?
Oh, like Adam Sandler?
Yeah, you never seen the Water Boy?
I've seen it, but I'm like a whole generation younger than you. So
That is true. You are pretty young.
yeah, I turn 18 in a couple weeks.
That's crazy.
Weeks. It's literally Sunday.
Couple days.
This weekend.
18?
18.
Wow. And you're like 40.
I forgot.
No, that's you.
It is crazy you're older than me,
Yeah.
because you look older than me.
I mean,
You
for
don't- you
40
don't have
though, you
gray
don't
hair,
have
though.
much gray.
I don't
Not
think
for
people.
40.
I don't think people do think I look older than you.
No?
No.
Yeah, I think I look very distinguished. I think it's the right term.
A distinguished
Very wise in your
gentleman.
years.
Very wise. You know,
One of my favorite things about you is just how generous you are to yourself.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
distinguished is a generous term.
it is. I think it's an accurate term. It's like, you know, when fish, like Congo tetras, for example.
Yeah.
When they're young, they don't have good color.
Yeah.
But like as they age, they get that really distinguished color. And I think that's what's happening to me. The older I get, the more distinguished I look, and people just like, wow. Look at the
You
color on
age
that
like
guy.
wine, Rob? Is that what you're saying? You get better?
I age like whiskey.
You age like an opened bottle of wine.
Not the open
No,
bottle.
that's you. You're sour. Yeah.
Uh,
Leather ages like McDonald's.
So I don't age at all.
No, like a McDonald's French fry, like
Yeah, it never
Yeah.
molds. It
never
just
molds.
looks like
it
a
just
French
looks,
fry.
yeah, it looks
perfectly
great.
preserved,
Yep.
For 10 years.
just
Yep.
like the day it came out of the fryer.
Leather, can you just read aloud the most recent comment? Oh, wait, no,
Wait,
it's not. Oh,
wait, which one?
Will's here.
Will's
Is it
here.
that Kyle the Fountain says, Rob, you look old as dirt?
Wow.
Oh, I don't even
And-
see that.
He says,
look great.
at least compared to your co-hosts.
Wow.
Oh wait, hold on. I have talk chat on instead of live chat.
Yeah, thank you.
Will gifted 5 memberships.
Will.
Hey, Will, thank
He
you
says
so
Merry
much.
almost Christmas.
Yeah, this is Christmas with Flip today.
This is Christmas with Flip. Yeah. All I know is Liv couldn't fit in this sweatshirt, and I did. I don't know if that has anything to do with age, but like,
And my boyfriend, who's like 60 pounds heavier than me, probably something like that, thinks that we wear the same size pants.
what is going on with your life?
I don't know. It is hurtful, though.
It is hurtful.
No, it is.
You used to fit in this when you were in your 20s, right?
Yeah, when I was
She's going to be 18 this weekend.
when I was
Well,
when I
yeah,
was
she's
14,
going backwards. She hit a certain age, and then now she's counting down.
That's a youth medium. What are you talking about?
It's a children.
I'm just stretching, guys.
It shrunk last time I washed it.
Did it?
Must have. That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
I'm glad that it shrunk because otherwise
did
it
all
would
of
have
my
been too big on
pants.
me. No, there was a season in my life where I was gaining weight, and I kept telling Amanda, I was like, babe, I don't know what you're doing to the clothes, but they're shrinking. You need to get it together. And I genuinely thought that she was shrinking our clothes, and then
You stepped on the scale.
stepped on the scale, and I was like 20 pounds heavier. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Don't know how that happened.
Your 20s are a rough time.
They are, once you get into your 30s, life just starts making sense.
Stabilizes a little
Yeah.
bit.
Starts making sense.
Yeah. But yeah, it wasn't until I was in my 30s that I really felt distinguished.
Your 20s
I'm
is
not
like
there yet.
using
I was gonna
tap
say,
water
Leather, what's your
in your
opinion?
aquarium. It's just all over the place.
Yeah.
A lot of adjustments.
I'm definitely in the RO phase.
Yeah,
of
once
my
you
life.
get into your 30s, it's like
Yeah.
RO water, remineralize just the way you like it.
Yep,
Things start making sense. Things
Right
start
temperature.
aligning.
So speaking of remineralizing, I think we need to talk about it. It's been a hot
Yeah.
topic. A lot of people have been bringing it up.
Yeah.
You got another trivia question you can come up with real quick for remineralization?
Yeah.
Are you scrolling to find it?
Yeah, we have a lot of questions.
We do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of
They
them are
just
about
keep coming.
remineralizing, but we do have a couple that aren't if you want to touch on
Hey,
those.
I do
real
want to give a
quick.
shout out to By the Bylands. Sent us a charcuterie kit with this cute little teapot.
Yeah, I think that grows flowers for real.
And Liv literally punched the box again.
Yeah, by the bylands, you thought I pretended to punch the box.
No, she actually legitimately punched the
I
box.
got excited.
I made a joke and she took it seriously. She's so gullible.
He asked me to open it.
I said, Liv, open this box.
Can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Oh. Did you end up reading the trivia question? I was distracted.
No, but we have a couple questions that aren't mineralized about. What are
Oh,
you
this
doing?
is fun.
Oh my.
I
God.
just realized that I control you all stream.
Oh my goodness, you're messing with my mic. It's already about
Hands
to
on
break
your
that
lap.
table.
Hands on your lap.
Okay, hold on. We have a couple questions that apply to what we were just talking about.
Okay.
Would Lowell asks, would
Ooh.
Lowell Ron,
Ron.
would using water that comes from the refrigerator be better than straight up tap water?
I mean, so the water that comes from so here's the big if. If you change your filter in your refrigerator, some people just literally have the same filter and never change it. And then
I don't know anyone that
that's
would do
actually
that.
disgusting. It would be worse. You don't change your filter?
I haven't. But I
What?
should.
How long have you had your fridge?
Like, I don't know. A little while.
Years?
4 years.
What?
I don't really.
So I change it every
Drink
year.
water out of
If you change your filter, yes. If you don't change your filter, no. It's probably worse if you don't change your filter because then you're forcing water through a dirty, nasty filter. But yes, water from your fridge that has been filtered through your fridge would be better than tap water because most I'm pretty sure those filters have carbon in them. And then they're also sediment filters. I'm pretty confident with that. So I would say yes, that would be better. But one way that you could check to see if it's doing more harm than good is if you test the TDS of your tap water and then test the TDS of your refrigerator water. If your refrigerator water
If your
has a
refrigerator
higher
water is
TDS, that means your filter's disgusting and you're nasty. So I really Liv, I'm coming over today. I'm testing the TDS
Don't
of
do
your filtered water.
Well, I just had to change my hot water heater, so there shouldn't be too much sediment buildup in there. So my tap water might be pretty good.
That's good.
Might be in pretty good shape.
Hey, when you get to your 30s, you start thinking about things of like changing your furnace filters, changing your refrigerator filters.
Furnace filters get changed. I order a 6-month supply at a time.
Wow. MacBid, cheapest place to get them. Just saying.
Really?
Yeah.
I have a weird size. Anyway.
Me too. Mine's like $50 per filter, and I get them for like $5 on MacBid.
That was a great chat.
Anywho, is there any other questions?
Jody P asks, what are your thoughts
Jody!
on softened well water? I have a few dedicated lines that are not softened because of the amount of salt it takes to soften my water.
So, yes.
Oh.
Perfect.
Softened water.
All right,
is-
Jody, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you, Jody, for your question. It was
Leather
well
Wells,
received.
what's next?
So softened water, yes, it puts salt into your water, which binds to the calcium or whatever, and makes your water softer. So it's better for your lines in your house because it doesn't have these huge buildups. But softened water is not good for plants. It collects on their roots, suffocates the plants, they die out. So if you've had a tough time keeping aquarium plants, that's why. I've had the same issues. I used to live on a well. Actually, I still live on a well, and we had softened water, and it's just problem after problem after problem. With fast growing plants, you don't have to worry about it as much because they tend to outgrow the die-off. But depending on what is in your water, it probably would be better to use non-softened water for your aquarium. But you would have to filter it really well, clean it really well, and again, it depends on what is going on with your water. So at our house, we actually use softened water on our fish tank, and it works fine. And then we have fast growing plants that kind of outgrow the die-off. So it's just easier to not worry about it. But there would be times where I would use just straight tap or well water, not softened. So.
Wow.
But feel free to send us more details, and we're happy to give you more guided feedback.
Okay. On to the next trivia question.
On to the next.
What do you need to remineralize RO water?
I'm so happy.
I know the answer to this.
What do you need to remineralize RO water? That's actually a trick question too. Thank you, By the Bylands, for our teapot and our charcuterie. I actually might go eat a sausage after this.
No surprise there. I think
What is wrong with you?
move on.
Just Chris says shrimply, KH, and GH.
Hey!
I agree 100%.
Thank you, Liv. All right. Thank
I
you,
think it
Leather.
depends. I think it depends on what you're remineralizing it for. And that's all I have to say about that.
Corinne says different brands can be used, such as Shrimple, GH, and KH. PV
Yeah.
says crushed coral and equilibrium.
Honestly, Shrimply, GH, and KH is the only thing that I would use to remineralize my water.
Yeah.
That other stuff,
It's just bad.
it's not as good.
No, there are plenty of options out there. For the longest time, I used Garnellenhaus. They have bee shrimp and then shrimp mineral, GH, and KH. Love it. It's just all the way from Germany, so it gets expensive.
Yeah.
It's much easier to produce it here in the United States and get it as quick as you need it. And you
Yeah,
don't have to
so-
wait 3 weeks for it to arrive.
That's about all of the guesses in the chat, but I feel like this is something everybody wants to know about. So if you want to just jump right on in, because we already have questions about this. So
Okay. So remineralizing. What is remineralizing? So basically, when you have RO water, distilled water, you have no minerals in it. So the act of putting minerals back in it is what we call remineralizing water. So GH and KH, a lot of people recommended the Shrimple stuff. That's our brand, full transparency. There's plenty of other brands out there. It's just we created our brand because we wanted a solution that worked for us, and it was a very easy product for us to bring on because it's something that we would use all the time. So it's what we use for
We do, yeah.
our soft water fish, like our tetras, our rasboras, our cories. It's what we use for our Caridina shrimp. We don't use it for our neos or any of our hard water species, but it is something that like we truly believe in. So what we do, and there's a couple ways you can accomplish this. So let's start with the basic. If you have RO water, distilled water, all you want to do is remineralize it with general hardness and carbonate hardness, which is GH and KH. Those are the two main measurements that you want to focus in on. So you need a GH remineralizer and a KH remineralizer. Sometimes they'll have one that's combined. If it's a liquid, you need to be careful because if there's a liquid that says it's GH and KH, the GH and KH don't really mix well together. They kind of like bind up when they're stored for a long time. And so at least our manufacturer, the one that produces the GH and KH for us, like they've never been able to find a way to do it consistently. So that's why we have a GH only and a KH only. When you combine the two, it kind of creates like a sludge on the bottom, and then like you don't have like a good measurement of whether it's going to be GH or KH. Like it's going to get very inconsistent. So there are some salts out there like Garnellenhaus we talked about has a shrimp mineral GH and KH, which again, the GH and KH, if you grind them perfectly to the same microgram or the same like size, they could stay mixed up, but like sometimes like the KH will fall to the bottom, the GH will stay to the top. So it's still not always completely consistent, but you could get that. So anyway, focus on GH and KH. You can look up, okay, how these fish in nature or wherever they're being bred by whoever or kept by whoever, what GH and what KH do they have? And then you can literally build your water to match that. So we'll use Shrimple, GH and KH as an example. We have our mixing instructions in 10-gallon increments. So we do 1 pump per 10 gallons increases the GH by 1 degree or the KH by 1 degree. So most people remineralize in a 5-gallon bucket. So that means 1 pump would increase it by 2. So if you have a 5-gallon bucket of RO water and you want a GH of 8 and a KH of 4, you would do 4 pumps of GH and 2 pumps of KH, done. And then you can even get, the Fritz GH and KH test kits. You can measure your degrees of hardness, make sure you're good to go there, and just to verify. And then that is how I would remineralize. A 5-gallon bucket outside of the aquarium. We said earlier, do not remineralize in your aquarium. It will create so much stress, probably kill your animals. It will create fluctuations in your pH, just not good. Not good at all. Now, a lot of people, when they're remineralizing, will use TDS as a way to remineralize. If that is the only parameter you use, you are going to be not in good shape. Because like our Shrimple stuff, the TDS is way different than if you were using their Garnellenhaus stuff, or if you were using Brightwell remineralizer, so on and so forth. Like you can get all these different measurements of TDS depending on which remineralizer you use, based on like how many other minerals are added in with the GH and KH. So there's just a lot of inconsistency there. Also, just so you guys know this, the pH of distilled water and RO water is going to fluctuate drastically because there's really nothing in the water holding the pH. And so it's just going to be completely inconsistent. So like you might test the pH of your RO water and it might be 8. And then you might test it the next day when there's little to no oxygen in it after sitting out, and it might be 5. So like there's just no consistency whatsoever. Muscusi. So, no. Where were we?
Holding the pH of your water.
Yeah. So pH of RO water is always going to be inconsistent. So honestly, I don't even worry about the pH of the water as long as you're doing small enough water changes. If you're going to do like a 90% water change, then obviously you want to make sure the pH is pretty close to where your tank pH is. But if you're doing like the 10% water change, flowing it in very slowly, you're probably going to be fine. But yeah, I would just definitely focus on GH and KH. That's your most consistent parameters. And if you make sure those are lined up, everything else will kind of fall into place. I'm sure there's some questions there.
Yeah, so
Thoughts?
a couple people were asking about how to increase KH only. So like obviously we're kind of talking about that, how you can use just the KH. But they were also talking about the crushed coral Can you like speak to crushed coral at all?
Yeah,
There's a
so-
lot of questions about crushed coral.
We're doing a video this weekend, which we'll be able to touch on this more. We probably don't have time to really get into it today, but we're doing a video. Actually, it might not come out this week. It might come out in like a week or two about aquarium substrate, and we will actually touch on crushed coral
Yeah.
and how that influences the parameters. The only thing with crushed coral that I'll touch on now is like the consistency of it. So like if you have crushed coral in your aquarium, it's going to continuously increase your, I believe it's KH, it might be GH, it might be both. I don't really use it for it, so I'm not as familiar in it. But let's assume that it increases your calcium in your water. So it's going to increase your KH, and it's going to continuously break down your water and raise your KH. So like if you're not doing, constant water changes, then all of a sudden your KH might just be like way too high. And then what does that look like? And so yeah, like, can you use it? Absolutely. You can dial it in, but I would say it's more for an experienced hobbyist than just a beginner.
Yeah, this person is saying that it is increasing their pH quite a bit.
Yes. Yeah. And it's just going to continuously increase it. Because you got to think like salt water is just a pH that is way higher than what we see in most freshwater tanks. And so crushed coral is coral. It comes from salt water. Obviously, it's going to break down and try to increase that pH back up to where it's content.
Yeah.
So yeah, like people use crushed coral for like cichlids, which like a really high pH. Snails, which like a high pH, also love lots of calcium in their water. So I know people that have soft water actually find like a mixture of like, this is how much crushed coral I need to sand to keep my pH stable. But again, that's why I say it's more for like the advanced hobbyist than just a novice hobbyist. So.
Yeah. Corinne says, I have an 8-gallon tank with chili rasboras and blue tigers. I foolishly got the tigers without proper setup. Want to slowly change to distilled water with remineralization. Is that the best way to go?
I mean, in my opinion, distilled water remineralized is always the best way to go because it's always very consistent. If you're going to transition something from what it's currently in to a new parameter, what I would do is just like start doing your normal water changes with the new type of water. And don't do anything like drastic. Don't like just jump into it. Like just slowly ease your way into it and do your 10% bi-weekly water change. And eventually it will switch over to the new parameter. So a lot of people want to just rush it and do it right away, but that's not always good.
Patience, they say.
Yeah.
Elaine asks, I use all rainwater, 0 everything. What is the best water to remineralize it for shrimp or fish?
What is the best water to remineralize it?
Yeah, so maybe-
rainwater is technically distilled water, and it should have a TDS of near 0.
Yeah.
The only thing is like now you're taking into account like pollution in your area. Like if there's like some steel mills in your area that are just putting smoke into the sky, maybe you don't have very good rainwater. But you would remineralize it the same way you remineralize distilled water or RO water, preferably shrimpable GH and KH, but any brand out there is fine. Just make sure you're testing your GH and KH to know where your parameters are, and you would do it the same way.
Yeah, something else just to add for anybody that isn't familiar with our GH and KH products, they're 2 separate bottles. So like you're remineralizing each of them individually.
Yeah,
Yes.
so if you just need to do an increase on GH, you can do that. If you
Yeah.
just need to remineralize KH, you can do that
Yeah.
with our
Yeah.
product.
And we can jump into the next section because I want to get to it. I don't want to run out of time. Is like you can actually use your tap water or well water with distilled water to kind of remineralize it on your own as long as there's no contaminants in your well water, tap water. So we could talk about how we do that. And that is a video that is coming out this weekend talking about using tap water for your shrimp and your fish and things. So what's our next trivia question? And then we'll wrap up the live stream.
How to mix, oh wait, that's the topic. Trivia question. In what situation would you mix RO water with tap or well water?
Oh, man, I kind of already gave them the answer.
Yep.
I do that from time to time. I'm so stupid.
You're so silly.
I'm so silly. I'm so distinguished. Don't you guys agree?
Let me think about
Liv
that
made
for a
fun of
little
me
bit.
all day today because of my choice of pants, with my choice of shoes. Leather thinks that I look fantastic.
I always like those light shoes with the black pants.
Thank
That's
you.
just my hot take.
IMAC thought you were wearing sweatpants. Like
What?
a bum.
Yeah.
People
Oh,
were
Fake
wearing
did?
sweatpants.
Yeah. Did
No,
these-
no.
What?
IMAC did. And
Oh,
not
IMAC
Fake.
thought I was wearing sweatpants?
Yeah.
No, these are black jeans, my dude.
My dude.
Some people think you
This-
look like
this thing
a high school principal.
Who? Who said that? I will literally fight them.
Brooke.
I will punch her in the
Some
face.
people think you look like a history teacher.
Who thinks that?
Me.
Well, I thought you were wearing sweats too, so I almost said gym teacher.
I think you look like the dad that one day is, well, your kids are going to be homeschooled, so that's good for Maisie. That one day would be like purposely embarrassing their kid at pickup.
Oh, I would definitely do that.
Yeah.
That was 100%
That's the
me.
vibes you're giving right now.
J. Lou thinks you look like a volleyball coach. And he's right. He's right.
Oh, that's silly.
Okay, so answers on the question. Lil Ron says top off. Madison says remineralizing. Madison also agrees top off is a good one. PV says you can add RO to lower general parameters.
Yeah, all those work. Sorry, Liv had me distracted. She's a real treat today. Let me tell you. Actually, aren't you feeling good? Don't you have to go home after this?
Yeah, I feel terrible.
So yeah, I mean, all those do work. Here's the thing, is you can use tap water or distilled water with your well water or RO water if there's no contaminants in your current water and if the parameters are actually usable. So like, let's say your tap water has like a GH of 2 and a KH of 20. Like, at that point, you might as well just remineralize water, because to even be able to use that, it would be difficult because KH of 20 is just so ridiculously high. But if you had, a GH of 20 and a KH of 10, then you could use 50% distilled water, 50%, your tap water to get the perfect parameters for shrimp, which would be 10 and 5. So there are definitely ways that you can use distilled water or RO water to kind of cut your tap water down or your well water down to make good water. And even if you have like a ratio that isn't good, like let's say you have 10 GH and 10 KH, you could still use 50% distilled water, cut those both down to 5, and then use a remineralizer to get your GH back up to 10. So like you're still utilizing 5 and 5, which will save you money on remineralizing, but you can still remineralize the one that needs the increase. So there's definitely ways to use it, and we have a very good video that goes in depth with this topic coming out this weekend, coming out on Saturday for Shrimp Saturday video. So I know that we're running behind, so I won't get too deep into this topic today, but definitely look for that video. It's coming out this Shrimp Saturday. Don't be scared with the thumbnail, because the thumbnail, it's a little scary.
Oh my god.
It's a little bad. I didn't give Em very many options for a good
No.
thumbnail, and she chose the best one, and let me tell you, it's a little scary.
Rob looks like I just spooked him, which is kind of the
Yeah.
vibe. Yeah. That was the best
Oh my
option.
God. I'm like breaking out over here, and it's because there's dog hairs all over this sweatshirt.
Yep, I set him in my back seat accidentally. Okay, so we're running out of time, but can you answer rapid fire 2 more questions?
Okay, rapid
Yes.
fire. Got it.
Okay, Whip's World asks.
Whip!
If
Whip!
if
My guy! I wish I had Whip's height. I would be unstoppable. You think I'm distinguished now? Make me 6'8". My God.
Whip, can you dunk? That's just what I want to know.
Whip doesn't even have to jump.
Just-
He can just put it in. All right, go ahead.
Well,
Okay.
actually
Rapid
has to
fire.
crouch down in order to dunk.
if my water is the equivalent of battery acid, What is the best way to get better water quality other than aforementioned sediment filters? Should I invest in carbon filters, straight RO?
So battery acid assumes that it's super soft, which is very surprising because there's not very many places that actually have super soft water. So depending on what your parameters are, is you can actually, like, if you have very soft water, you can do like a calcium reactor, and it would put your water through a calcium reactor, which would then, you know, put the KH in there and would bring your pH back up. So there are very specific solutions that you could use to bring your pH up. It's a whole lot easier to increase your pH than it is to decrease your pH. So if you have battery acid water, it's actually probably a good thing because that's an easier thing to fix than it would be if you had like liquid rock. So that's the rapid fire answer. Number 2.
And then By the Bylands is asking, could
By the Bylands.
could
It's
I
kind of a combo question.
could I mineralize my water in a separate container and leave it sitting for a while, as in weeks, before use, or would that cause things to change the water? And also, how long should you let it sit before using it?
Minimum I would let it sit is 24 hours, just because that gives it time to mix up. I always throw a power head in there, just to help circulate it, get it mixed up really good. So that would be my recommendation for time to let it sit. As far as like the maximum time to let it sit, as long as you have it covered, I think it's fine. A lot of people say like RO water goes bad. I've literally used RO water like after sitting there for a month. Like, I mean, does it get stagnant? Probably, but like it's fine. Like, I mean, if you're gonna let the water sit for over a month, like maybe not use it, but like, I mean, I for sure have used water that has sat there for a month. So I use the Brute trash cans, the 55-gallon Brute trash cans, and just put a lid on it. Like, and then you're not worried about evaporation. You're not worried about any of the things going wrong. So I would say you're good to just let it sit. Definitely remineralize it, let it sit for a while, and you're fine. Yeah. And you had one?
Whip, he meant to say liquid rock, not battery acid.
Oh, liquid rock. Yeah. Liquid rock is definitely tough. And I guess it depends on how hard it is and what your pH is. If your pH is like 8 or less, then I would say like, hey, you're going to be fine. But if it's like 9 like ours, like I'm sorry, because it is such a struggle. You definitely could cut your water down. But like, for example, we use straight RO water for our soft water fish. We remineralize it with the GH+, and then we add like 1% tap water just to stabilize the pH.
Yeah.
And 1% of tap water still will shoot our pH up to over 7, and then it'll come back down over time.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's just, it really sucks. But feel free to send us an email, Whip, with your specific parameters, and we can talk through what some solutions are. But on that note, is it time for the whip wheel?
The will.
The wheel.
It is time for the will.
Will,
Okay.
thanks again for the members today. We appreciate you.
All right. The range is 24 to 58.
27.
24 to 58?
Yep.
50.
Rob, you are Lowron.
Lowron.
And Lib, you said 50.
I think so.
You are Jennifer Linkus.
Jennifer Linkus. I feel like
you
this
got
isn't the
her
first time.
recently.
Yeah.
Come on, let's fist bump. I want to get in your head. Oh. Lowron, you ready for this? Are you ready? Because I know I'm gonna crush
Yeah.
you.
I don't feel confident today.
I'm gonna cut you and crush you and cover you in paper.
It's strange. It's really weird.
You've never played rock
man.
paper scissors?
Not like that. Ready?
Yep.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Ah!
I knew it.
Got her.
I knew it.
All right. Will you actually? Do you
I
want
knew
to?
it.
I want you to spin the wheel
The
this
last
time.
spin of 2024.
Ooh, you get the honors. Even because you lost, it's your consolation prize.
I just need a moment. This crap ticks me off.
Now you know how I feel all day hanging out with you.
Hey, I'm glad Lowell is getting a good.
Let's see, Lil Ron, free 1-day shipping. That's a great
That's
one.
a good one to
Oh
get
wait,
right now.
oh, it's still going. Anubias bundle.
And he
Just
said
kidding.
he has some stuff coming in today. Lowell.
Wow.
So
So free 1-day shipping, Lil Ron.
take
yeah,
advantage
I
of that
will.
15% off.
Yeah, I'll email you a code for that that you can use on the website, and then also a couple other like things to talk about. Number one, you just did a podcast with
Yes.
Tank Talk. I'm gonna
Yeah, I
post
did
a
it
link
with
for it if you
John,
wanna.
KG Tropicals, and Jason at Primetime Aquatics
Apparently, it's the best podcast out
in the
there.
universe.
In the multiverse.
In the
of
multiverse,
universes.
yeah. It's crazy. I didn't know it was such an honor until I got on there.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was funny. I was staring because I couldn't see Jason while we were filming it. I could only see John because of like how they have their live stream stuff set up. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like just staring into John's face. And like he knew that he wasn't the one that was actually shown at that point. So he's like, he's like scratching his head. Like, I don't know if he was hitting his vape or like something. But like it totally threw me off. And I'm like, dude, I completely just lost my train of thought. Just John just there with his all of his bald glory, and I'm like, dude, you threw me off. So I don't know if they edited that in, but it was funny.
Well, everybody
I had
that
a good
has
time
seen
with
it
them.
already is raving about how good it was. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we had a good time. They're great guys. I definitely would consider going over there and checking them out.
Yeah, I wish I worked for one of them.
Me too. My God, I hate it here. Seriously. What are you gonna do when I fire you?
Go work for Jason.
Yeah. I
Well,
cut some connections.
please don't quit. Please.
So we've had some news develop in
Yeah?
the middle of this live stream.
What is it?
Just Chris wants to do a $25 gift card giveaway on Discord for members on Discord.
What?
So
That's so nice.
that's going to happen after this. We got to talk through a couple logistics with him, but that's going to happen on our Discord. So if you're a member, get on Discord. If you're not a member, join and then get on Discord because that
Yeah,
will
we'd love
be-
to have you on there. It's
be-
free.
Yeah, it is free to be a part, and then there's some special members only channels on there. There's just a lot of very wise people on there that are always sharing
Yeah.
tips and tricks and helping each other out. I know I've learned a lot from our Discord. So that will happen on our Discord. I'm going to post a link so everybody can go join. And thank you, Just Chris. That's very
Yeah,
kind
thank
of
you
you.
so much,
We
Chris. That's
appreciate
super
it.
generous. Thank you. That's awesome.
yeah.
And guys, this is the last stream of 2025.
Last
It's crazy.
public stream.
Oh.
And this is next week will be the first week without a coffee with Flip since we started.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, why would they have Christmas on a coffee with Flip day?
I don't know.
That's crazy to me.
yeah.
I would say we could do it a different day, but like I'm literally out of town all next week because we're going to see the in-laws.
Yeah.
The following week, maybe we can
More like,
work something.
Mary, did you know that
Mary, did you know?
the birth of your son would interfere with coffee with Flip?
When you say it like that, I feel like a terrible person.
Yeah, it didn't feel right coming out of my mouth. Honestly, it's the reason we get to do this. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I take it all back.
Well,
Anyway,
I don't know that. I feel like that just kind of put a damper on coffee with Flip.
yeah, last coffee with Flip of the year.
Enjoy celebrating Jesus' birthday.
Okay, put a little pep in your step, Bobby.
Oh my gosh. Eeyore. Oh my.
He's still standing. He's still. Oh my God, it's amazing. All right,
That is like Elton John.
We got to get Rob out of this shirt because he can't breathe. His
I
lips are
literally
turning
am
blue.
suffocating to death.
Yeah, we might need
I
to
might
like,
wear it the rest of the day though.
cut it off of you.
Yeah, you might have to. I'm
All
thinking
right,
I'm gonna
well-
wear this the rest of the year. Because I won't have a choice.
Please do.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of Coffee with Flip. You have made 2024 a great year for us, and we're looking forward to see what 2025 has in store for us. Enjoy your holiday season. I mean, we'll still have some videos coming out, some posts, things like that. So you'll still see us. We definitely have a live stream coming up. Flip After Dark. The members have been talking about it.
Before the end of the year.
If you enjoy Coffee with Flip because of our shenanigans, just wait until you see me and Liv, our natural shenanigans. This is the censored version.
Yeah, this is the censored
The
version.
really, really, really censored.
Yeah,
This is the extra
just wait.
censored.
If you saw the urinal video, that will give you an idea
Oh.
of what happened.
If you guys haven't seen the urinal video, you might not want to see it.
I wish we would have posted it.
That
I feel
was-
like it would have done really well.
That
I
was
think
just
so.
Crystal Club, right?
I think I posted it, Flip After Dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
that
Crystal
that
Club.
was funny. That was a good video. One of our
That's-
best.
That's
One
a
of our
throwback.
one of
The
the best
best.
ideas that I think you've ever come up with.
You know a video is good when I have to have Liv film it because I can't stomach getting down and dirty
Yes,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Needless to say, Liv's
Honorary
urinal was
videographer.
disgusting.
And then editing it like this,
Well-
blindfolded.
Yeah.
Well, hey, guys, make it a great holiday season. Thank you so much for being a part of Coffee with Flip, and being a part of our family here at Flip Aquatics.
Flip fam.
We love you guys. We appreciate you, and enjoy the season. So,
Yep.
on that note, why don't you guys close us out?
Well, God bless.
We'll catch you on the flip side.
See you guys,
Bye.
dude. This thing is gonna be hard to get off.
I think you're gonna have to
Don't
sit
forget
down.
to get on Discord for the giveaway.
We're gonna have
Just
to
Chris
pull it
is
off
giving
of
away
you.
a $25 gift card.
Are we st-
Run.
Are we still live?
Run.